Hi everyone, welcome to a video here. I'm going to be taking you guys through some of my favorite games today because I've gotten this question quite a bit of what are games I like other than the Mother series. So today we're just going to make a short video here where I'm going to tell you guys about 10 games I really like that are not from the Mother series. And if you guys are interested, maybe I'll make another video like this in the future telling you about more games I like. So we're just going to talk through about 10 today, keep this video relatively short. So first up is Plants vs. Zombies. I've talked about this one quite a few times. By the way, I hope you guys like this Channel Orange-esque layout we got going for this slideshow. Plants vs. Zombies is a tower defense game, more or less, and I have been in love with this game since I was probably like 10 years old, I think, is when I discovered it. That's around when it came out. I think this game is pretty much flawless. It's like perfect in every way, and when I start playing this game, I find myself playing it for days on end, and I'll play through it over and over again and then get sucked into the Zen garden. It's a game I would love to maybe live stream sometime or something like that. It's a game I really like, and if you haven't played it, this is like a must play. It's very relaxing, and the art direction is just fantastic, not to mention that ending credit song. So moving on to game number 2 here. Tetris, yes. As if I haven't made this clear through my series I have on Primate Nintendo, where I do what I call the Tetris podcast, I play Tetris a lot, and it's a game that's almost bad for me how addicted to it I get, because I find when I get addicted to this game, it's another one that I'll play for days on end, nonstop. And it even got to a point last summer where I was playing it so much that I was having trouble thinking straight because I was just thinking about satisfying Tetris-like setups. It was getting pretty bad, but this is a game I really like. I like the online Friends version they have right now. Tetris Friends is technically debunked, but I'm still going to call the online version of that because I think it's the same engine. Tetris is a lot of fun. I played an online competitive version with my old roommate a lot. This game's fantastic, and I think it might be as close to perfection as potentially games might ever come. Like, I have so many ideas for videos on this game that I might do at some point. I think this game is perfect in every single way, and I would love to talk about it in its own separate video. Oops, sorry I hit my mic there. Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, Donkey Kong Country. Yes, finally a platformer, because those other ones were more so puzzle games. Donkey Kong Country, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this list is in no particular order. So Donkey Kong Country is one of my favorite games. It's a game that I don't necessarily find myself playing for days on end, but when I start a game of it, I have to play through the entire thing. I recorded an entire series for this game, actually, for Monkey Nest that I was going to put on right after Mother 3 finished to kind of wind down after how sort of emotionally demanding that series was for me and for the audience. And then all of the files were corrupted. Every single one. It was going to be like a 7 or 8 episode series, and it was 100%. This is a game I know all the secrets to. I owned the Game Boy Advance version when I was a kid, but have since grown to very much love the SNES version, of course, but I still have very much a fondness for the GBA version, which obviously colors and audio are not as good as the SNES version inherently. However, I really think this game is fantastic, and it's very intriguing. I found a quote from Shigeru Miyamoto recently, like yesterday, that said, like, Donkey Kong Country is proof that gamers will put up with mediocre gameplay as long as the graphics are good, which was shocking to me because this game is so much fun to play, so much fun to control. And it's my favorite of the Donkey Kong Country series. I find Donkey Kong Country 2 also very good. However, I think that game is just not quite as fun because I like artistically isn't as satisfying to me because I prefer the darker tones that this one has, and it feels like over the series run, the colors overall got progressively lighter and lighter. It doesn't make them inferior games or anything, just that's why this one ends up being my favorite, because I just prefer darker tones for a lot of games visually. But I also love EarthBound and stuff, so there's a place for the stuff with the brighter looks. Final Fantasy VII. This was a game I only played for the first time last December, I want to say. I started at like the end of November and finished in December. Another one that I got addicted to and was playing for... I'd pick it up to play for a little bit, and then I would spend the rest of my day playing it. A game with such phenomenal story and very smart with how it plays things. Fun turn-based combat as well. I got really sucked into this. Alf recommended I play it, and it's one that was on my list for a long time. I just never had access to a way to play it. And then he lent me his Switch, and that was the version I played. That's the one I guess I prefer, I have to say, because I just don't really have frame of reference for the others. But I fell in love with this game. I've played it through it 2 or 3 times now. I think this game is so great from a storytelling perspective, and actually has quite a bit in common with its story has quite a bit in common with some of elements of EarthBound. I think it's ingenious the way it is a video game adaptation of an unreliable narrator, which was something that was very, very scarcely seen in games at the time contemporarily. And not to mention, it just holds up on its own. Also, I just realized this picture I chose says MMX7, so I don't know what the MMX is for. I know there's like an international version, a couple different ones, so I'm not quite sure what that's referring to. Okay. Also, Cloud is just awesome. The character designs are fantastic, every single one of them. And I have played the remake, by the way, and maybe I'll save my thoughts for that for another video, but I have some things to say about it, good and bad. Mega Man X. Sorry this picture's not as clear. Anyway, Mega Man X is one of my all-time favorite platformers. The movement just feels so good with the dash and everything, and I think it's continues that Mega Man tradition of having just fantastic music, and it's a lot of fun searching for the upgrades and stuff. Another game that when I started playing it, I just played through it till the end. It's one I don't know if I've ever just played through in more than one sitting. It's just that much fun to control. And I think that's about it. I think it's a good way of showing that platformers can have stories, and stories that are quite effective. And it also proves once again, like, games like Mario and Sonic have done time and time again. It proves that you can have a really simple story and still be effective and connect with an audience. Though I think this one does it better than perhaps a lot of the games contemporarily in the series, in those other series I mentioned at the time did. Mega Man 2, while we're at Mega Man 2, and I had to use this notoriously awful artwork, of course. Mega Man 2 is a game that's, again, phenomenal music, and I think that's ultimately why I prefer to so many of the other Mega Man games, even though I love the slide from Mega Man 3, and I do quite enjoy Mega Man 1 as well, but Mega Man 2 is, this has a lot of personal connection to me. It's a game I played a lot when I was a little kid, and I really enjoy the movement of this one too, which I know is hard to really argue considering, every Mega Man game from this era controls exactly the same. It's just your moveset that's slightly different. But I think this one has kind of some of the more satisfying aesthetics comparatively to some of the other ones. I haven't played through every game in the original Mega Man series, admittedly. I only played up through 4, I believe, maybe 5. I would like to continue them at some point. It's just, this is one that I know a lot of people have a love-hate relationship with because it's such a basic choice in a lot of regards, but also a lot of these games that have been on this list so far are pretty basic choices compared to a lot of people. So it's one that I do have to say is on this list mainly because of my sort of nostalgia and sentimental value towards it, which doesn't necessarily make the game worse. And just because it's perhaps overrated in some senses doesn't make it any less a good game, at least. It's a lot of fun. Grand Theft Auto 5. This is one I wanted to throw in as kind of a weird one you might not expect from me. Grand Theft Auto 5 is a game that I got really sucked into when I played it. I played it like a year after it came out, roughly. And it's also fun seeing Trevor here because the actor who plays him is in Better Call Saul, which I've been watching a lot recently. I really enjoy Grand Theft Auto 5 because it's a campaign I got really sucked into. It was like the first game in a long time that I had played where I was really genuinely invested in the story. And and believe it or not, don't play the online for it. Never really was a fan of it. I only played in a couple private rooms with friends sometimes. I really prefer playing just the campaign and messing around in the open world. It has its problems. Definitely not a perfect game. And I think a lot of its strength is carried by its story in terms of a single player experience. I'm very much looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6, whatever that brings to the table. And I just hope that they can touch up on some minor things in its successor. But yeah, I was really invested in the story in this, and it introduced me to a lot of music and kind of revolutionized, for me personally, my idea of what I thought of games like this, because this was the first Grand Theft Auto game I had ever extensively played. I had dabbled in like San Andreas when I was younger, but yeah, this was the first one I played extensively and definitely completed for sure. And it really changed my mind about the series because I thought it was just kind of excessive for the sake of being excessive rather than having a purpose to it, which it clearly does. Whoops. And let's go to Super Mario 64, another super basic choice, but again, a game that I think is one of the most perfect games ever made. There's been some discourse about it on Twitter lately, particularly about its art direction, though I gotta say, I don't really have a problem with its art direction. I think it's relatively consistent. It's not perfect, but it's relatively consistent, and it hasn't aged well from a visual standpoint in many regards. However, I think that you can forgive a lot of that just because of how insanely well it plays and how insanely well designed the levels are, for the most part. There's some that, particularly Rainbow Ride, isn't a particularly fun course, but that doesn't stain the whole game, obviously. And it also just leaves you a lot of wonder, fantastic music once again. And notably, the last game that Shigeru Miyamoto was like the lead director on, because he was like technically a director on like a recent Star Fox game for like the 3DS like 10 years ago, but come on, that doesn't count. And he more or less was a director on Ocarina of Time, which was the last time he was really very much in the director's chair. So this was the last one he really, really led. And it really, obviously, super influential. You have to give it that. Obviously, aged super well in every element that is not the visuals. And I wish they would, but even now, if you want to play that PC port that people made, fixes any problems someone might have with the visuals. It leaves a lot of mystery to the player and encourages them to explore and discover things, which something I really miss, and I even somewhat still prefer this to Odyssey, believe it or not, though I do think Odyssey is phenomenal as well. This game just really entices the player to go and play it however it wants, and it's really like the height of Miyamoto's game design, emphasizing letting the player have fun, because it's good to let the player have fun, because it almost feels like games are becoming more restrictive in a lot of senses in many cases nowadays. And it's important to let people just have fun and mess around. And that's why this game, I think, holds up so well, is because it allows you, particularly its controls are so good that you can find yourself just messing around in the castle for hours or, hours at a time, not doing anything. This was one of the first games I ever owned. And I didn't even realize you were supposed to go for stars for a long time. I know, believe it or not, I didn't even know you're meant to be collecting the stars, because I just liked running around the levels so much. And it blew my mind when my friend showed me his copy and he went to like the third floor and like the fourth floor of the castle. These second and third levels of the castle. That blew my mind. And yeah, there was a lot of memories with this game, as well as the DS version, though I prefer the 64 version. If there's one thing I could really say is disappointing, is that the 100% reward is pretty disappointing. The enhanced triple jump is fun, but I mean, admittedly, they said it was more of an afterthought. Anyway, Metal Gear Solid is the last game I want to talk about. This was a game I only played for the first time back in February. I played it over the course of 2 days, I want to say. And one of the best stories I've ever experienced in a game. Have to give it major applause for being an English dub I played of a game that doesn't absolutely suck. Very good choice on their part, I must say. It's a lot of fun to control, and it's just a really fun idea to be sneaky. It's something that I think a lot of people inherently like to be, because I think a lot of people really enjoy their privacy. So there is that whole thing of, if it's just the middle of the day and you're leaving your room or something to get some water, whatever it might be. Just that sort of inclination of, I hope I don't have to see anybody. I hope nobody's here, And that's what I think this game provides a lot of. It it lets itself be epic without letting it lets itself be grand, and yet lets itself not be too serious. It cracks a lot of jokes. It allows you to make a lot of funny off the wall decisions, and it's that kind of freedom that makes the game fun, even if you get stuck in it here or there, which, believe it or not, despite what you may have seen on some of my recent streams, this is a game that I knew where to go at all times. It's a lot of fun, and it made cutscenes not annoying to have to engage in. So yeah, that's my list for today. Again, no specific order, just some games I really like and I would consider some of my favorites: Metal Gear Solid, Mario 64, GTA 5, Mega Man 2, Mega Man X, Final Fantasy VII, Donkey Kong Country, Tetris, and Plants vs. Zombies. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know, and I would be happy to make another one, a follow-up in the future, if you guys want to know about some more of my favorite games. So yeah, I hope this answered some people's questions about what my favorite games are. Thanks for watching.